Okay, cheers.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Mm.
Woo!
Woo!
Woo! What's
All
up,
right.
dog?
How you doing? Are we rolling, Madeline? Okay. Well, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Robertson Stash. And today I'm super excited to finally have Sibelli in town. How are you doing, Sibelle?
I'm so much better now that I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I'm super excited to finally get some work in with you, too. I've been a collector for many years and a friend. And,
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, I really am impressed by your work. It's beautiful. So like when we were just talking earlier and you kind of gave me a little bit of a rundown, but when did you get into glass? Like when did this start? What did it for you?
It's a blurry line because I'm actually not sure when I took my first glass class, but it was when I was pursuing my illustration degree at VCU.
Okay. VCU, where's that?
In Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You went to the same school as Jakey too, right? That's right. Yeah. He was mentioning that.
About that, we grew up in Virginia Beach. He used to eat at my dad's restaurant when we were kids.
That right?
Yeah. And so he grew up like within the same square footage of me, and we had no idea who we were.
That's wild.
I only met him at age, like back, when
years
I was just getting
into after you guys were like just in close proximity, kind of bumping shoulders, probably.
And that was the same with Marie. Like Marie and I went to the same middle school, high school,
Marie, like Marie, like on Instagram. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
We went through all school together.
Is that right?
And we were never friends. We just had different friend circles. And then Christopher McElroy, two-stroke.
Oh yeah.
I was assisting him at age, and then he was like, "Hey, I have someone I want to introduce you to who went to VCU also." He walks me right up to her, and I'm like, and then she was like, and then we had a moment where we were like, "Wow, I recognize you from like when we were kids." And
that's
so
wild.
It was really cool.
Wow, there must be something in the water there. A lot of artists coming out of that region.
I mean, Richmond had an amazing glass blowing scene because the school offered so much. Like the glass program at VCU back when I was there was probably its golden age.
Oh, really?
Because I started. So I'll rewind a little bit. But when I was pursuing illustration, they have you take a class outside of your major just as like an elective. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the guy I was dating was friends with Saga, who was teaching the Intro to Glass Casting 101. Okay. And so it was being offered over the summer, and I was looking at it, and he's like, "Hey, you should take her class because she's super dope." And so,
have you ever sculpted before, or like
I had done a few ceramics in school, like in high school, but I wasn't really intuitive with it. Mm-hmm. So when I took her class, she was actually a little bit of a hard ass on me because she was friends with his ex-wife. And she was just like, "Who's this girl?" or whatever, So because she was hard on me, I felt like I had a little bit to prove.
Wow.
And I really wanted to be like her bestie because she was so cool. And
nice.
Actually, like the first casting project I did was cat poop, which is so funny because the prompt for the project was story of your life. And I was like, "What is the story of my life?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll probably always have a cat," which means
piece.
Yeah, which means I'll always be shoveling cat shit, So I made these little cast glass turds, and then I drew a cat on the wall looking back like, "Yeah, bitch." Oh. But it was funny because I was in the studio like making poop out of clay. Like I was trying to sculpt it, and like the grad students would walk by and they would just be like,
"Good one."
Yeah. What are you doing?
No. Altogether, that's a great piece. I think with the cat drawing and the poops and looking back.
I still have a picture of it. Yeah.
Well,
and I still have
use
the
that
poop.
as B-roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the poop.
So you casted it, was it just clear or did you?
Yeah, it was clear. And then I did the whole like, oil paint thing, made it look brown and like,
okay.
How.
Okay. Yeah. Jakey had a really interesting project that he talked about. He like made this whole thing out of glass tubes and painted it to look like wood.
Yeah.
And then,
we did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. That's art school for you.
I loved art school.
It gives you that time to really find your own voice. You're not really working for anybody. You're kind of just you have these missions to go discover new parts of what you want to do. I think it was a great thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a very similar story. Like I went for animation.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get in because I slacked off on the application a little bit. Like, you know, I was 19 years old, whatever. Yeah. And then I saw them blowing glass and they were pulling like a big cane from a staircase down. I'm like, what is this? And I just signed up. It was awesome. Switched it all.
That's cool. But I mean, the thing is, when I got into school, I finished high school a year early because I couldn't stand it. And
so you went extra and you got extra credits and stuff, or?
Yeah, well, the thing was, I was never really into school, so I just kind of got by. But all of my friends were into the advanced classes, so I just wanted to hang out with them. So somehow I made it to the point where I was going through the advanced classes, like just barely. And then when I was a junior going into senior year, they said I only needed 2 more classes to graduate. So I was like, why the fuck wouldn't I just do those over the summer and just finish and get out of this damn place, you know? And then my counselor was like, yeah, but don't you want to go to prom? And I'm just like, fuck prom! Like, so anyway, where were we?
We were getting into it. We did the
story time. Glass. Oh.
Let's move on from that. Do you want? Let's keep going.
Casting.
Oh, that's where we picked up. Yeah, left off. Okay.
Left off, picked up.
So in school, that was my favorite.
Casting?
I made a glass walrus, and I made flameworked glass tusks out of soft glass, and I put them in the wax mold of my walrus, and then I put plaster all around that, and then I casted the clear into it, and then the tusks that I made were just in there.
That's so cool.
It was a dope thing. Yeah.
You did a reinvestment. That's nice.
Is that what that's called?
That's like kind of advanced.
Is that a reinvestment?
Yeah.
That's what that's called?
Yeah.
Really?
Because we used to do that where if we wanted there to be different colors of different glass, but you couldn't get into the mold all the way, you would precast the smaller parts and then put them on your wax. And then make the mold around it. And then when you melt the wax out, the glass.
That's exactly, I didn't know it was called that. So you built the vats, like you make the wax or the plaster mold, then you build like the crucible to put all the glass in. And I love that. Reservoir. And drill air holes and like.
Yeah, I did. I used to take, what do you call them? Paper clips. And I would unfold them and then I'd stick them in and they would be my vents. I'd like pull them out.
Paper clips, really?
Yeah, because I don't know, I was broke. I was just like, oh, there's a paper clip I can stuff in there.
I mean, maybe that's all the air hole you need.
Yeah.
Because I was going a bit bigger, and then I have to cold work those like jets, you know, like how the glass would go into it eventually. Oh, yeah.
But the small, it doesn't matter because there's still air going through it. It's a small hole.
So you had to cold work those off still?
No.
Oh.
The glass wasn't.
No, like glass would come out my air vents, I think.
Yeah,
I remember because I would drill them, I think.
Damn, that's big.
Yeah, they were a bit too much. Maybe I should, you know.
Yeah.
In Canada, it was probably, we're getting taught different things.
Right. But so casting was like my first thing, right? And then, but the thing is, I was so into glass because it was just such a weird material that I wanted to make it my minor. But the minor just, you know, all the classes just stacked up so quick. And then they were like, well, you're done. And I was like, I'm not done. And then they're like, well, do you want to make it under another major? And I was like, yeah.
You had to.
Yeah. But then that meant I had to take hot shop and flameworking, which I wasn't interested in.
Wow.
And then, but Emilio Santini was still teaching at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
So I had him at his very last class at VCU.
No way.
And it was just hilarious because we mostly just talked about like politics and like culture and shit like that. And he was just like, yeah, make like a thing. And we're like, okay. And then that's when.
That's how all the art teachers at my school were too. Like, they'd say one thing and make you think for like hours and hours.
Yeah. But the thing was, when Christopher came in to teach, that was like
two-stroke?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the golden age of flameworking at VCU. Like he was such a good teacher.
Is that right?
And I also didn't know who he was. Like I had no idea his skill set. So even though I was in that class, I didn't take it seriously at all. And so he'd be like, all right, make like 10 cones, 10 spheres, you know, and like he was giving us like real assignments, like hard shit. And I'd just be in there like, fuck, flameworking, this sucks, you know, like I wasn't interested in that style. And so I would like go into the casting studio and like make cast parts, and then I'd do like little flamework parts and like be like, this is my flameworking project. And then he was just like, C-.
Wow.
whatever. And then I was like, you're so mean. So like he like ruined my GPA, but it was because he gave me my first B in glass. Like I was like acing it like all the way, and then he was just like a hard ass. And I
can't imagine this time. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I was really surprised that we had stayed in touch after school, because I was like, oh my God, he definitely doesn't take me seriously or whatever. But when I came to assist him at age, he was like trying to show me how much money I could make as a pipe maker. And he was like, you should really consider making pipes. And I saw his pieces just flying off the table, and I was just like, whoa, this is awesome. So actually, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have developed an interest in the first place.
That is like an amazing story, actually. So he kind of like put you through the ringer a little bit in school, and then encouraged you to get into the pipes afterwards. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I love that, man.
He's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a couple cool collabs way back in the day.
It was
That's
him and Micah.
interesting.
Micah was the other one.
Micah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah, we had a little miscommunication back in glasspipes.org days, and he was Peppa. His name was Peppa on glasspipes.org, and I was just ME. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not Matt Robertson, I'm Matt Edward. That's what it stands for, Matt Edward, my middle name.
Oh, crazy. See, I wasn't around back then. I had no idea.
Yeah, and then there's these. I'm from Canada. I got all the webs, and he's this Emmy from America, and we worked it out though. We worked it out, and it's not like we're copying each other's art. We love each other.
No.
I love that man.
I mean, he was super stoked to know that I was coming out here. He was like,
So you just went on your big Euro trip. You were there for like a month or something, or more than that?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a 3-week trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you just loved it so much.
Well, I mean, my Boro year has been a year, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think for everybody a little bit, but.
I mean, going through this breakup, and when we broke up, it was like late July or early August. And then I was set up to teach a class at level 42, like early September. And when I thought about it, I was like, shit, like my brother's getting married late September, and then I'm going to Vienna in October, like early October.
Oh, because you did the
circus.
No, I was one of the first people to do that.
The Torchland.
The Cultiva Festival.
Yeah, the Cultiva.
So it's different people now. Roar used to be in charge of putting the glass blowers on that, but I went with Jag and Hoobs out there, one of the first years, and
that's cool.
So how was that experience for you?
It was so cool. Well, for one, I've never been to Europe before.
So you went right into Vienna to do that event.
Yeah. So what happened was I realized that I didn't want to pay rent on my place in LA if I was going to be traveling and going through a breakup at the same time. So I told Dave, I was like, if we're going to do this, we have to just do this right now. And so I called Micah and I was like, you're the only person I can think right now who has my back completely about this, and I really don't know where to go. And he was like, don't worry about it. Like, you can crash at my empty apartment. I'm always staying at, his girlfriend's place, and then he had a space at his studio for me. So he was like, just pack your shit and come here. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, fuck, thanks, dude. And so,
amazing.
So I told Dave, I was like, I'm going to Austin. Like, I can't. And then he was like, fine, I'm going to go to Mexico City. And I was like, okay. So we both just dipped out of LA really fast.
Yeah, that was a cool apartment that you had.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I could find a place like that anymore, because we got that place during COVID. So the price was really cheap. It was like, we ended up paying $29.50, splitting it, and it was a studio and living situation. $14.75 each is like, you can't find that anywhere, especially with the view of downtown and having a pool and a hot tub and parking and like a mailing system built in, freight elevator, like all of it.
Yeah, so it'll come back and be better.
I know. But so then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Virginia. I drove my shit to Austin. I picked my girlfriend up in Phoenix. Actually, I dropped my cat off at my brother's house first so he could fly her to Virginia for my mom to take care of her. Went down to Phoenix, picked up my best friend. We drove together to Austin, stayed there one night, and then I flew straight to Virginia. My brother got married, and then I did a demo at the Chrysler Museum, and then my other best friend got married in Richmond, and then the next day I flew out to Vienna.
Wow.
And then
no time to stop and think about nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my mom had my dog and my cat, and she's like, don't worry about it. Like, do your thing. And I was like, thank you. So yeah, I went to see Tomas and Ina, who are doing the Torchland Circus now.
Okay. Oh, is that, so Torchland Circus, that's a new term for me.
Yeah, that's the one that's at the
Cultiva Expo, the big thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, it is new people. So it's the THC people, Austria or something,
THCBD.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know them.
They're so cute.
Are they?
Yeah, they're very, very sweet. They were super accommodating. They paid for my flight out, and they put us up. I had a place, and like Scott Moan was there, and they had Zach Parkowitz, and he came up from Spain.
Yeah, Barcelona.
And there's a bunch of other glass blowers from around Europe. And then we flameworked, and I hung out with Scott a few days, just like touring around Vienna, and we spent time.
Did you eat those candies, the treats in the windows, like the little delicacies of like the bakery?
No.
You didn't see any of that?
I mean, I saw it, but I was mostly into like eating pizza, which I never eat anymore. So they had this Italian place right next to their smoke shop. And oh my God, I was like so happy. Yeah. And what else? And eating gelato like anytime I could, because I love ice cream and anything like that. But so when I was in Vienna, I had a little bit of time in between that and then going to Prague, because I was going to visit Martin Janetsky. Do you know him?
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. And I saw the pictures, like, that was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, I made friends with this kid, FedEx.
I don't know. But I saw you blowing glass in like a shop at like night. Like, when you were around that time.
With Martin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I know. I'll tell you about that in a second.
Okay.
But so when I was talking with, Federico is his name, and he lives in Italy. And so he was like, I said, hey, like, I kind of want to check out Italy for a bit. And he was like, okay, I'll take you on a tour. It was 4 days or something. And so we hit his studio, which was super cute. It was just like on this little balcony in some guy's garage. And it was like just what you need, but like definitely not
like little K tanks and like propane tanks and just,
He had like a oxygen system.
A high volume thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, so then we went to Bologna, and then he took me to Simone Cristani's studio, and we did like a last minute collaboration, which was fucking awesome. Wow. He's super fast and amazing. We made this decanter, and then we went straight to Murano after that, and we hung out with the Ballerin brothers. And so they had an empty apartment where we got to crash, and then I collaborated with them. Wow. And just spent the one day.
Not familiar, but who are the Ballerin brothers?
They're just like three brothers. And they make, the goblets and just Christmas ornaments, like all of the
Murano style
glass. And their mom paints the gold on everything. Wow. So I came in there, and then she's just like, hello, super cute. And then they were all just like, let's collaborate, and I loved it.
What an amazing experience, though.
So fun. And, I went to see Carla Dona's tools, and I bought some stuff.
Yeah. And, cool.
But that was a really fast trip. We got wasted on Aperol Spritz, and then went straight to the airport. And then I flew back to Vienna and worked at their Tomas and Nina's shop for one night. And then I took the train to Prague the next day.
Wow.
And then I hung out with Martin for like a week. And then we went like mushroom picking, and we, hung out. I got to meet his family, and like.
That's amazing.
And
he's one of the best sculptors.
Amazing.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah. And he took me to see the hot shops where he grew up working and like all this stuff. So it was pretty sweet. Super sweet.
That's amazing.
Actually,
it's magical there.
It's so magical.
Like Europe in general, like every time I go, it's just these magical, like the way they talk, even like it's like when they try and like say English, they're like, oh, your words sound like a poem to me. Or like, they really have a nice way of speaking to each other out there.
The culture is so awesome. Like it's definitely more my pace. And so actually there were two guys that I met in Vienna who also lived in Prague. And one of them is he goes by and then his friend who is like probably the biggest hash dealer in Czech Republic. And so they were like a little team. And so they told me when I go to Prague, I have to go visit them. So I hung out with them for one night and saw Giovanni's shop. And then when I told them I was going to Turkey, I was going to go visit my family right after that. So they said, well, why don't you come back for Canifest? Because it was going to be right around the time that I was finishing up in Turkey. I was planning on going straight home after Turkey. So this is what extended my trip. So I went back to visit them in Prague after that point, and then I was able to work in Giovanni's studio.
Is this the weed festival that was happening?
Canifest.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Prague.
In Prague.
Okay.
So that was 10 days after I was in Prague. So I ended up going back to Prague the second time. And then Jan was like, dude, make a Puffco attachment. Just do it. You'll sell it. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Did it, sold it immediately. Yeah. And then he was like, see, there you got some cash in your pocket, girl. And I was like, oh, love you. And then
amazing.
Yeah. And then Jan was like, well, why don't you just come to Barcelona with me and for a few days? Cause he had business to do there. And so I was like, fuck it. Why not?
Oh, so you went to Barcelona after Prague?
After Prague, yeah. And then I hung out with Zach.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met, brain fart.
Who are we talking about? Oh, those guys there?
No.
The gallery in Barcelona?
Oh, I went there too.
Okay.
The Chilean glass gallery.
Chilean. Is that who you're talking about?
No,
okay.
I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh. Augustina Ross. Oh my God. Cut that out. Okay, yeah. So I went and I was like, whoa. But
is this a glass blower?
She's amazing. She makes jewelry, and a lot of her work is on like, high profile fashion runway shows and stuff like that. So I went to see Augustina, and that was super cool because she's like hella like girl power glass studio, and she has classes there, and it's like all girls. There's not a single man in that place.
That's amazing.
And as soon as I met her, I opened the door and she's just like, welcome. She has a newborn baby just sucking on her tit. And she's just like, come on in. And I was just like, fuck yeah. And the whole time we're hanging out, she's just like, and then she, introduces me to all the girls and they're like, hi, it's so cool.
This is right in Barcelona?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she was like, do you want to come back and teach a class? And I was like, fuck yeah. And then they were like, yay. So I'll be back there in May. But so the Barcelona trip was totally unexpected and extended my trip by like 4 days. And then I didn't even tell you about my trip to Turkey, but.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And that's where your family is from?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My dad lives there. My parents separated like 4 or 5 years ago. And so my dad had a new wife that I had to meet and all this stuff.
Wow.
And he had also had cancer over COVID and was recovering from that. So I hadn't seen him in 4 years, and that was like a lot. Yeah. But I have family all over Turkey, so I went to Istanbul, stayed with my cousins, and then I did a glass blowing demo at the Glass Furnace, which is like just outside of Istanbul. And that's a glass school that's really similar to Pilchuck or Penland.
Really?
Yeah, because the guy who owns that school, he at the age of like 55 or 60, he was like, I like glass. And then he went to Pilchuck to take a class. No. And then he was so inspired by it that he went back to Turkey and opened a glass school there. Similar style with like housing, and it's out in the countryside.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they do classes there over the summer, similar style.
Wow. So now you're back from that. What are you thinking about being back in America from after that?
I just want to go back.
Yeah?
I especially want to go back to Prague.
You like it there?
I love it there. There's something magical about that city. I mean, have you spent time there?
I don't know. I've never been to Prague.
One thing that I learned about the city was that it wasn't ruined from war. So a lot of the architecture is still maintained from, historically. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the city just has this magic to it, that like this air of history that hasn't been like, tormented from disasters and stuff.
Was Vienna like that to you, or
Vienna was
that hit by war?
I
don't know. I gotta check it out.
The thing about Vienna was it was really pretty, but it was also very like it didn't have as much life as Prague. Okay. Like I feel like Prague has this voice just in it, and it's just like love me or something, and then Vienna's like hello. Like it's still nice, but there's something about Prague that's a little edgy, like
really?
Like some of the sculptures are like black from over time. So there's this kind of like, dark creepiness to them.
Whoa.
And you look up at them and you're just like, whoa. It's like they have extra life.
And they're big, impressive sculptures.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Art Nouveau in places. So, some architecture has these really beautiful, ornate sculptures and just decorations. And I love that era of art. So I was just inspired.
It's powerful. Mm-hmm. And I saw you were at that Familia, Castle de Familia in Barcelona, right? You checked that, or what's that called again? Do you know that that 400-year-old castle you went to?
Oh, yeah.
What's it called?
Oh, it's
Familia or something.
Yeah, it's Gaudi, one of Gaudi's projects. Or wait, is that what you're talking about?
That one with the lizards on the wall. And
Yeah. Dude, that shit is dope. We tried to go in, but all the tickets were sold out.
I know. When I was there too, it was like a lineup around the block.
I know.
To go in, but I hear it's pretty nuts on the inside too.
Yeah. I mean, luckily the guy I was with, he goes to Barcelona all the time, so he was just taking me around, and he's like, check this out, and I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. So it was cool. I was sort of autopilot the whole time.
Yeah, that's a cool city. The Ramblas or something. The Ramblas. That's the main downtown, I think. The Ramblas.
I love
French Canadian, not the Spanish. A word from our sponsors. Hey, what's up, everybody? Have you ever wanted to make hash at home? Well, Low Temp Industries has got you covered. They sell do-it-yourself rosin kits. They're the one-stop shop for all your home and commercial rosin extraction needs. And I'll tell you, we had one in the shop for about a week, and it is absolutely a good time to squish your own hash and smoke some fresh dabs right off the press. So you don't even have to leave your house to get your own hash. Find them on their website at lowtemp-plates.com or on Instagram at lowtemp.industries. Now back to the show. So did I hear that you blew glass at the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Wow. What was that like?
It was so fun. I think that was 2 years ago now. What started it was that they wanted a glass blower when they were doing the Super Bowl in St. Pete in Florida, because the glass beach thing.
Yeah.
But then that was the year COVID hit, so they canceled all the entertainment. So I was supposed to go out there first, but then when they came to LA, I was still on the list, and then Dave was like, yeah, well, she's a local artist, she can still blow glass, this and that. So he proposed that I make a glass football to put on display. So they approved that, and it was really easy because I just drove down to the stadium with my stuff and set up, and then they commissioned a glass football, they put it on display, and then I was just there for the VIP event. And then the CEO of the company was on location, and he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing over here?" And I was like, "I'm just making a football." I was supposed to make another football for the event. And then he's like, "You know what? My wife's a bead maker. How cool is that?" And I was like, "That's so cute."
Wow.
So it was really cute because we connected on that level.
I bet, yeah.
And I think he actually ended up taking the original football for himself. So then they ended up commissioning a second football from me afterwards.
Sick.
Which was super cool. But the funny thing was, it's glass blowing in football. You're like, huh? And so people were coming up and they're like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I was like, honestly, I was supposed to make this football, but networking can be so boring when people are just walking by that I decided to start offering people little trinkets. I was like, "Oh, I'll make you a little heart or a little football or a little anything you want." And so it started getting everyone excited. And then they bring their friends over and they're like, "Do you want a little glass thing?" And so I had this list going, and I was just and then it started turning into me making little dicks and vaginas and
at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And then at the end, people were running up last minute and they're like, "Can you make me a pipe?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I was making little spoons at the end, and I was just like,
"No way."
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was so fun.
That was so cool.
It was a great event. And and that was an awesome event because that was the year Snoop Dogg and everyone was doing the halftime show.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So I do thank Dave for that for sure. But, before that I had
So you were blowing glass when that show was going on? Or were you?
It was just in between. Yeah.
Okay. That's so cool.
But before, what helped me with that gig was that I did a thing with Carhartt a few years earlier.
Really?
Yeah, and they had me teaching Von Miller how to blow glass for this commercial, but they ended up cutting my part out, so I can't really stay I have footage
Von
of
Miller, he was just on the news. Isn't he in jail right now?
Is he? I have no idea.
Von Miller is on the news for like being in jail or something.
He was super cool when we hung out, and then it was Jason Momoa's production company that was doing the whole thing. And
I know who that is, the actor guy.
The actor guy, yeah. But it was like a really cool production and everything. And so that really helped me get other gigs because they were like, okay, she's legit or whatever.
Wow.
But that's the beauty of being an artist in LA.
Hollywood, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because then people recommend you because like there aren't that many flame workers in LA.
Damn, that's very interesting. Mm-hmm. So did you have an agent or did you just kind of do this all on your own? Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So now you're in Austin, and how are you liking Austin? It's like the new LA kind of.
I know, isn't that so fun? I'm almost embarrassed to tell people I moved from LA when I go there.
There was like a mass exodus from LA that went to Austin.
I know.
Seems like.
It's so funny because I've literally just lived in Austin for 2 weeks this whole time. And so when I came back from Europe, I was only there and then I came straight here,
Yeah.
But so far, I mean, I love the vibe there.
Yeah.
I have a great, I don't have a lot of friends, but I have Micah.
Place to work, place to stay.
Yeah, and then you have like Salt and Lacey and Stephen Pierce. So it's like there's some great people
community
there. But I mean, I love it because it has the river. So I'm really into outdoor activities. I love climbing. I'm going to get into paddleboarding. Sounds beautiful.
Like I want to go. I've never been. Oh, and that's the bad thing I hear about it. Summer is really super hot. Mm-hmm. I heard Karma just bumped into you at the Mothership recently. Joe Rogan's.
Oh no, he bumped in. No, we actually bumped into each other at Kill Tony.
Oh, Kill Tony, that's right.
Before the Mothership.
Oh wow.
So I went there with my bestie because she lives in Virginia and I was in LA, and we decided to go to Austin just for fun because it was halfway for both of us. And we got into the Kill Tony show before the Mothership opened up.
Okay.
And we were on the balcony watching down, and Karma and Lacey were on the ground floor. And we were at the same show, and it wasn't until I posted a story about it that he was like, what the fuck?
Okay.
I know, but we both have that interest. Like, we love comedy. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Actually, I'm really looking forward to New Year's because we're going to see Duncan Trussell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We're at the Mothership there?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm stoked about that. But
oh, man. Sounds like there's a huge comedy scene there right now.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think most of my Uber drivers have told me that they're comedians so far. So.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Mood Mats. Man, what a great product they are. They're made from 100% recycled wetsuits. Mood Mats are essentially coasters for your rigs. They keep the mess levels down when you're dealing with sticky, shattery, wax, oils, and concentrates, all of the above. They do a ton of collabs with lots of artists, musicians, all sorts of interesting people. It's a great way to expand your brand. So if you are a small business or an artist interested in expanding your reach, hit them up at moodmats.com or on Instagram at moodmats. Here, pass them all. I can handle it. Ah! Thank you guys for sponsoring the show. Now back to the episode. Your style is so very unique. You must know how to draw a little bit. Do you draw lay these out before you make them?
Always.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's part of the process for me. I really enjoy drawing. So when I can step away from the torch and just sit down and be alone with my sketchbook, I'll go on Pinterest and get inspired, or if I watch an anime that I love, or things like that. Just what inspires me.
I heard if you can draw it, you can make it.
Yeah.
That's what one of my instructors told me back in school.
That's cool.
Because you save so much time. If you try and figure it out on the torch or like in the hot shop, I mean.
And I used to be really strict about sticking to the original concept, but nowadays I'm okay with having something drawn out, but then while I'm making it, if I want to change something up a little bit, I've allowed myself to be a little bit free with that. So it's pretty cool. But, I'll even use myself as reference. Like, I'll do photo shoots where I I have random props. Like I'm kind of a Lord of the Rings nerd, so I have Legolas's swords, and I have like the Witch King sword, and just like fun things. And I have like the little Geta shoes, the Japanese shoes, and sometimes I'll just walk around the house and I'm just like, I feel cool. And then I'll just set up the tripod and just take like reference photos.
Oh, cool.
And that way I can kind of see things and like feel them. And
so authentic like that too. Like,
yeah. And I feel like if I'm copying a pose from like another drawing, like it doesn't feel as authentic to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of part of my process.
That's really cool. And then so you take pictures, then you draw those. Does it help you to draw it out?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, like the Katana Girl
simplifying
shirt.
shapes.
Like
I
I
put
could
them into glass.
Exactly.
The Katana shirt that I have, I love. I
Yeah.
love that shirt. Yeah.
Like I could show you the original photo of me in that pose.
Yeah.
Except I'm wearing like a t-shirt. So I made her sexier, like with the
And then you made that
pasties.
out of glass as well too.
Mm-hmm.
That's an original
Yeah.
sculpture. Yeah.
That one was for the Bad Boy show, the first Bad Boy show that I did.
Okay.
The Katana
yeah.
Girl.
Was it? Mm-hmm. So the one before the t-shirt?
When I made the t-shirt at the same time.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
My head was somewhere else that show because me and Kim's piece arrived in about 100,000 pieces.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
I was, that was a pretty traumatic experience. But
The thing is, I saw that piece not knowing that it had been reconstructed. And I thought it was...
And you saw it before Kim did. And I was telling Danger too, we can cut this part out, but,
Yeah.
she needed to know about that.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, anyways, moving on here. So, I mean, this question, I don't even know the answer, but you've already told us so many spots. But what is one of the most interesting spots you've blown glass at? Would it be the Super Bowl or would it be Prague or
Oh, man.
like what is the top for you?
Interesting can be so many things because there are places that I've blown glass where it really is a fairy tale. And then there are some places where I've blown glass where it's more of an adrenaline rush.
Okay.
But I would say the fairy tale glass blowing was definitely at Martin's studio.
Martin's studio.
Yeah.
Because you were there at night or something. Wasn't it like
Well,
when
I
people
was-
left, you were there and there was a picture of you blowing glass and it was like,
The thing was, so I was staying there. So his studio is actually built out from an old church.
oh, wow.
And it's literally behind the Lennon Wall. So when you
Wow.
go through the Lennon Wall, there's this gorgeous courtyard. And then his studio is in the courtyard attached to this old church. So it has all this history and he converted it and he lives there. So he has this space like a nook where you go up these spiral staircases and it's like a whole other attic where he like has his space. He even has a little rock climbing wall in there and it's super cool.
That's amazing.
And he has like a little gallery on the second
Wow.
floor. But I didn't have my torch with me, but I was so inspired from being there and I was like, hey man, can I make a little thing here? And so he set me up on his little miner, which was all I needed. And then I actually wasn't even kilning the piece. I was just splashing it every once in a while. And then I just made him this little harpy girl. And he wasn't really working a lot that week because I was in town. And so there were a few events he had to do, but otherwise the studio was just ours to like hang out in.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that was very like, I was like, what is happening right now?
Wow. Old church with a courtyard. Mm-hmm. That is amazing.
Yeah, and he has this majestic wolf dog and like, I don't know, everything there is just magical.
He's dreamy to me.
He's dreamy to me.
Oh my
Shut up.
gosh. What an experience. Oh man. So that was just some great stories. So when you're not traveling, what do you do to relax? Like what does like someone in your position do to just kind of unwind and relax and kind of, because that's important too, because you don't want to get burnt out.
Well, it used to be rock climbing,
Oh really?
bouldering specifically.
Oh wow.
I used to boulder like 6 days a week. And
You know, this is Boulder country out here, right?
Mm-hmm. I know, I love it. But so that's what I used to do when I haven't even told you about working with Yuri at Neptune Glassworks, which is
Oh, no, I was there before. I came and bugged you there a few times, actually, when I was staying. I
You
was there a
did?
couple times. And I brought my BMX bike buddy, and we were like he was doing tricks off the wall, like out front of it.
that was when Rip and Dip was across the street.
Yeah, Rip and Dip was across the
Yeah.
street. But we came in and I met you there one time.
That's
I think
right.
a couple times maybe.
Because I was there for like 5 years nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during those days, I don't even know how I survived because I was living off of 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep a night, because I would work from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then I would stay and work on some of my own little projects sometimes. And then I would go to the rock climbing gym and climb till like 10 or so at night. Then go back to days and we'd watch a movie and eat dinner. And then I'd be in bed by like 2:30
Wow.
and then have to get up at 6 the next day, like nonstop.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then once I started getting into my own work, I was staying in the studio later and later. And then, actually, this is a fun one. I decided I wanted to quit blowing glass. So I pursued yoga and got my yoga teacher training.
While you were at that
Neptune.
spot, Neptune? Yeah.
And the fucked up part about it is that during my yoga training, we had like a little holiday sale. So we were able to kind of set up booths, like people who wanted to sell stuff. And there was a girl there who had a booth with some pipes. Her name's Angela. And we got to talking, and then she was like, oh, I love these lady straws, because I was making these straws with little lady in them.
Yeah.
And she's like, can you make those into joint holders? And I was like, sure. And then she's like, I'll take like 10 or whatever.
No
and
way.
then
That's the story of those.
that's the origin story of the Lady J's. She's, Elevate Jane. That's Angela.
Okay.
And
I don't know, but that's
Yeah.
cool. I know the lady joint holders. Those are epic.
So-
legendary.
I was like, oh, fuck glass. And then she's just like, yay, glass. and then 2020 hit, and then everything fell apart. There was a huge explosion next to our studio. The studio got robbed. They stole everything except for the torches and the kilns, because I'm sure whoever stole everything didn't know what they were. Like, I'm talking like 3D printers. They took the forklift and they used it to steal all the other equipment, like cold saw, drill press, like all the computers, like everything.
At Angela's?
No, at Neptune.
No.
Yeah.
That spot right there.
The warehouse. Yeah.
Okay.
So
With that bar, there was like a bar in the
Yes.
middle. Yeah.
So what happened was whoever broke in opened the front gate, and all the homeless people from Skid Row just flooded in.
No way.
We had like 100 hoverboards or something just in storage. All of them were stolen. Our friend's art was stolen. Everything was stolen. And so then when COVID hit, we were just like, fuck. They vacated the studio because people kept coming in and trying to break in. One time, this person came in from the roof, and the warehouse was freaking tall.
Yeah.
Somebody freaking Mission Impossible down in there with a machete and a bag and a bunch of blood on the floor, and took a bunch of brass, whatever was left from the first loot.
How'd they get out?
Oh, like
Back through the roof?
no, like opened the gate and just left.
Oh.
So
Terrible.
that all fell apart, and then there was an illegal operation next door where they were using butane to make hash or something. I don't know. And then everything blew up. Yeah, the windows came down and
In
the
Neptune?
warehouse. Yeah, and at the
That
time,
place is cursed.
yeah. So we just all left, and then I was stuck with my own little studio. I had just moved into my own little studio down the street, like a 400 square foot little space. Even my windows got blown in. It was like a whole block away.
Wow. So Rip and Dip got fucked up. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And at that time, I was like, wow, I can't believe I have this studio, because now I'm on my own. Because if I had still been connected with Neptune, I wouldn't have been able to work. So that's what kind of boosted me to go independent in 2020.
It was like this. So because you got that and then it blew up, it kind of saved you.
Yeah, and
It's
then
like
COVID
this
hit.
preconceived vision you had that you needed to act upon, that you didn't subconsciously.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I need my own space. I'm growing up. Because Angela
How
was
divine is
ordering.
that?
It's crazy, right?
Like, that's pretty.
And that's when everyone started
prolific.
buying like weed shit, because everyone's at home and smoking.
So you
and
needed that. That was your moneymaker.
Exactly. And Angela was like, I need like 40 joint holders a week or 50 a week. And I was just like, oh,
Damn.
yeah. It's wild.
That's really.
So the universe was like, nope.
Yeah, they're taking care of you. Those aliens or whoever's the universe.
Crazy.
What do you think about that? Like, what is the universe? What is this? Like, do you have a destined plan that's already planned out for you, or is it like, what is it? What do you think it is?
I can't say if it's predestined or not, but I do have this theory about harmony and flow. And so I feel like if I'm in situations where I don't feel like a positive flow, then I'm not supposed to be there. So my whole life, I haven't really stuck to like a strict plan.
It's like, is it like your intuition?
Yeah. And like I've never actually, I don't know if this has worked against me or for me, but like I've never been personally motivated by money. It's actually like an aversion I have. And so I've never really like truly pursued money. I've always just pursued like making things that make me happy. And then somehow money just comes with it. So I'm not like a baller or anything, but I've managed to like survive off my work because like somehow people like, get the vibe.
You figured it out. Like, that's it. When you do what you love, money will follow. Like, you know, you do what you love, you never really work a day in your life. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the pieces I make aren't function forward. They're more sculpture forward.
Same, yeah.
And so, you know, when people are like, yeah, but how does it function? And then I'm like, it functions fine. And so, I mean, like, yeah, I could have gone the other direction and made like more functional pieces, maybe more money. But I'm like, I just want to make cute.
Maybe more
girls.
money, but
yeah,
I guess if it was like tubes and I don't know, heavy production. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I've been a fan of your work for a long time. As soon as I seen it, like the detail in the hands and just the how you make a body, like making hands, and I find it's like kind of a difficult thing for me to make it exactly ergonomically correct. How did you? Was there a learning curve for you, or did you have like one of those little models that you? No. I
mean, I think it was as a kid just obsessively drawing, like reading manga nonstop. I mean, I was super inspired by Oh My Goddess, the manga series. And
is that like anime or something? Yeah.
And like, of course, Sailor Moon and just various like Princess Mononoke, like all the Miyazaki films. But I think what I was really touched by was like the movement, and it's so dynamic, and there's just this very fun. So I'm actually still working through this idea, but I love seeing a really cute girl that's kind of sexified, but also very powerful and can do like magic shit. Because I'm like, why can't you be cute and be super badass, you know? So I kind of try and like live that life. Like I like being feminine, but I also like being powerful. And so I feel like blowing glass brings out that power in me.
Wow.
And that's where I was inspired by animes, because like look at Sailor Moon. She's wearing this little mini skirt, but then she has like the power of the moon and like destroying evil monsters and villains. And that's like super inspiring to me. And I don't get caught up on the whole, like, oh, they're just sex object, blah, blah. I'm like, get over it. Like, I like that.
No, it's powerful. That is great.
So I think what happened was, you know, there's a look. Like, you can make a figure, but is she sexy? And I think people see sexy in different ways, which is great. But for me, I have like a specific...
There's a formula.
Yeah. I'm like, how's the curve in the back? You know, what size is the butt? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, do they have movement? Like, are they dynamic? Like,
not
what is
stiff.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to capture in the glass. I feel like the glass lends itself to it.
Yeah. Because it's not perfect on each side. Like, or what
like
do
it's
you mean?
Fluid.
Yeah.
Like when you melt it, like the glass has that it has like a soul, you know, it has an energy, and you like work with it and you have this conversation with it, like just a body conversation. And it's like a push and pull, you know? So it's like a relationship. Like you can't force the glass to be a certain way. Like it just wants to do its thing. You just kind of guide it and like nurture it. And then
and you don't give up. You're like, okay, it's a little off, but then you kind of just work it until it goes, you see it. Then
and then, you know, you get into a fight every once in a while. You get over it. It's fine.
Yeah. How about any advice for like, you know, it's a tough time right now in the market, a little bit all around, all industries, I would say, but any advice for like an artist or somebody that knows they can be an artist or something, you know, but it's just it's that lull right now, right? In the world a little bit. Is there any advice you have for someone that is like up and coming talent?
It's really tough. I mean, I would say if you can put your ego aside and just get creative, you know, I mean, I'm thinking do something outside of glass. Say if you're a glass artist but your glass isn't selling. I mean, there's so many other things you can do as a creative person. So it's like merch or getting into other things that are more accessible to like a wider audience, like not just people who drop like certain money on certain things.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is kind of what I'm trying to figure out. It's like seeing what's selling, like observing around you. Like if you're in a position where you're thinking, okay, I don't have a lot to spend, like, but what would I spend money on? And then putting yourself in those shoes and maybe thinking that way. Cause like, that's kind of what's helped me so far. So I'm just like, okay, like pendants, necklace, like jewelry stuff. Like that's what I've been mostly focusing on lately. Yeah. Because that's just what people want.
Those sick joint holders, they're like ring wrap around the finger joint holders.
Oh, the little serpent ones.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, like people like that too. But you know, even honestly, if you have to get a part-time job, do something that doesn't like wreck you. I mean, if you have to do it, but don't ever really like give up on your art. Like if that's really what a person wants to do. Because, I mean, yeah, times are tough. And, like, a lot of places do need people to work because now that the culture is so focused on, you know, online money making, people don't want to go into work anymore. And so, like, there's that. Also, just, I mean, honestly, like, I'm really bad at giving, like, financial advice. So I wouldn't take this very seriously.
But I think you said something like it's like if you really want to do it, it's a gift. Like it can be tough at times, like you've told us today, and like I can, you know, vouch for in the past. It's tough, but it's a blessing to do to create. If you're a creator and you want to create, you got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Look inward, try and find your own voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know, and I mean, even things that you don't expect. Like when I got depressed and I wasn't wanting to blow glass, I just started doing tie-dye. Like I was just tie-dyeing clothes and then I was like putting little glass things on them and then like...
Oh, those are dope.
They were fun, but it was like, I did that and then all of a sudden people were like buying them up like candy and I was just like, oh, like I didn't even really intend on that. I did it mostly because I wanted to clear my mind somehow from this like mind block I have with glass.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like stuff like that. You like didn't really expect it, but if you put your passion in it and you feel like it's good, then maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
So is there anything you usually say or like,
you know what, I mean, I usually go, this is Matt Robertson signing off. And then you go, this is Sibelle.
Yo,
signs.
This is Sibelli signing. Catch me on the flip side, dog.
Damn. That was so like 10 years ago saying that. But man, your stories are inspiring. You've lived 1,000 lives, it sounds like.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Another episode in the hatch. See you next time on the Robertson Stash. Woo-hoo.